My sister framed me, cried to my parents, and got me thrown out barefoot at 15. Weeks later, she bragged about it, and my mom overheard everything. Kyle, an 18-year-old now, was just 15 when this happened. If you asked his family to describe him back then, most would have said he was the problem. His father believed respect was one-sided. You gave it without question, or faced his yelling, and sometimes his belt. His mother followed along with his rules as if they were law. Then there was Becca, his younger sister by 2 years, always seen as the perfect child. She could burn the kitchen making popcorn, and their dad would call it a learning experience. But if Kyle forgot to mow the lawn once, he was irresponsible and going nowhere. That's how it always was. Her mistakes were forgiven. His actions were proof he was a failure. When she passed an exam, she was hardworking and smart. If he passed, it was luck. She was the golden child. He was the disappointment. He knew it was unfair, but he never expected things to go as far as they did that night. It started like any other evening. Kyle was in his room with his old laptop, half doing homework, half downloading music. It was late, probably after 11. Suddenly, the door swung open hard, hitting the wall. Both parents stormed in like an alarm had gone off. His mom's face was red, and his dad's veins bulged. Behind them stood Becca, fake crying so convincingly it could win her an award. He stole it. I saw him take it from Dad's wallet, she sobbed, pointing at Kyle. What? Kyle sat up, confused. His dad rushed across the room like a detective on a case, lifted Kyle's pillow, and found crumpled bills, $300 to $400 hidden beneath. Kyle felt his stomach drop. I told you, Becca cried, fake tears running down her face. Kyle couldn't even process. He hadn't touched that wallet. Before he could explain, his dad jabbed a finger in his chest. You embarrassed this family for the last time. Think we didn't notice things missing before? You think we're stupid? Kyle jumped up, shaking his head. That isn't mine. She planted it. She's lying. Why would I steal when I've been saving money from babysitting and mowing lawns? Ask Mrs. Novak next door. Enough, his dad roared, rattling the glass. A liar and a thief. You've made this house a joke. Kyle looked at his mom for support, but she wouldn't even meet his eyes. She simply echoed his father. Behind them, Becca lowered her head like an innocent saint, but Kyle saw the small smirk on her face. His dad tore through the room, throwing Kyle's things into a trash bag as though he were tossing out a stray animal. Kyle's voice cracked. Dad, please, it isn't true. It didn't matter. His dad grabbed his backpack, dumped it on the bed, and stuffed it with clothes. When his mom tried to speak, a look from this father silenced her. Becca sniffled loudly. I'm scared to live with him. He gets so angry. What if he hurts me? That accusation stung the most. Kyle spun toward her, heart pounding. What are you talking about? I've never touched you. But the damage was done. His dad clenched his jaw. That's it. Out, now. He shoved the bags into Kyle's arms and dragged him down the hall. Becca followed, whispering, I told you they'd believe me. At the door, his dad yanked it open. The night air felt like ice. Kyle was barefoot in sweatpants and a t-shirt. His father shoved him onto the porch so hard he stumbled. Kyle managed to grab his sneakers before the door slammed. You don't come back until you admit what you did and apologize to your sister, his dad said coldly. I didn't do anything. She's lying, Kyle shouted, voice raw. Don't you dare speak about her like that, his dad snapped. She's been nothing but good. You're just jealous. The door slammed shut. Kyle stood there with a trash bag of clothes, waiting for it to open again. It never did. Shivering, he sat on the porch, realizing he wasn't grounded. He was exiled. At 15, he was outside his own home with nothing but a bag of clothes and a backpack. He knew his sister had won. She had their trust, love, and loyalty, while he was disposable. Holding the trash bag tightly, he fought to breathe. Part of him wanted to pound on the door until they listened. But he knew it wouldn't matter. They had chosen her lies over his truth. That's when he understood. He wasn't just the black sheep. He'd been cut out of the family entirely. That first night, he wandered the block until his legs hurt, unsure where to go. The park benches were wet from sprinklers. Then he thought of Lindsay, his best friend since middle school. Her eyes widened when she saw him in sweatpants with a trash bag, but she let him in. After hearing what happened, she wasn't shocked, only sad. She gave him pizza and a blanket. He slept better than he had in weeks. Her mom, however, was direct. The next morning, she told him he could only stay a couple of nights. By the third day, she drove him to school early and told him not to come back. That was it. Kyle stuffed his trash bag in his locker and pretended he had somewhere to go. From then on, he couch surfed. One night at a classmate's house, another in a basement, but people didn't want the drama of his family. Within a week, he was out of options. He began sleeping wherever he could, behind a gas station near the dumpsters, in the library until security found him, even once in the school bathroom until he was discovered. Hunger was worse than the cold. He had about $40 saved, which went quickly on cheap food. After that, he often went without meals. At school, things got worse. Becca spread her story fast. Everyone had heard he stole money and was kicked out. She painted him as a future addict. Classmates pulled their bags closer when he sat near them. Teachers stared as though already warned. In math class, a girl moved her notebook and muttered, "I don't want my stuff stolen," just loud enough for others to hear. Snickers followed. One day, a basketball player shoved him, calling, "Watch your hands, thief." Kyle pushed back, but the teacher gave him the warning. One more incident and you're suspended. By the second week, Kyle was invisible. No one wanted him around. He ate alone when he had food and sat alone, pretending not to care. But inside, it broke him. Nights were the worst, sleeping on cold concrete, using his bag as a pillow, hoping no one harassed him. And all he could think was, my own family did this. One night, sneaking back into the library, he curled up behind shelves until the guard's flashlight hit his eyes. "You can't stay here, kid," the guard said, escorting him out. Kyle ended up back behind the gas station, wondering if maybe this was what his family wanted, that he wouldn't survive. Days later, his father found him. Maybe Becca told him, maybe it was luck. Kyle sat on a bench when headlights hit him. His dad pulled up fast. "Get in the car," he demanded. Kyle stayed seated. "Not unless you admit Becca lied." His father's face twisted with rage. "Don't you dare. She's been through enough because of you. She planted the money. She framed me, and you believed her," Kyle said firmly. His dad pointed at him. "You're coming home, admitting what you did and apologizing, or I'll call the police and tell them you've been stealing and begging. Do you understand?" Kyle clutched his bag. "I'm not coming home to be treated like garbage. Call whoever you want, but I won't admit to something I didn't do." For a moment, his dad looked ready to hit him. Instead, he turned, got in the car, and sped away. That's when it hit Kyle. His father didn't care about the truth. He cared about control. The next day, Kyle went to the school counselor. He told her everything, how Becca planted the money, bragged about it, and how his parents kicked him out. She listened quietly. When he finished, she sighed. "Kyle, I know you're under stress, but accusing your sister without proof won't help. Your parents already spoke to us. They're concerned about your behavior. They say you're unstable." Unstable? That word stung more than anything, as though he were dangerous instead of just a teenager sleeping by dumpsters. "I'm telling the truth," he pleaded. She shook her head. "Focus on schoolwork. The best way to prove yourself is through your actions. In other words, ignore it and move on." I tried one more option. From a payphone outside a supermarket, I called my aunt. She answered cheerfully, but her tone shifted the moment I explained what had happened. "Kyle, this isn't something I can get involved in. Your parents are doing what they think is right. Maybe if you just said sorry." I hung up before she could finish. Even my own family wouldn't touch the truth. Everyone wanted the simpler version. Kyle is the problem. Becca is perfect. End of story. That night, I sat outside the gas station, back against the wall, sipping water I'd filled from the bathroom sink just to feel something in my stomach. A neon sign buzzed above me. Cars came and went, but I remained invisible. Then I heard the voice I hated most. "Wow, didn't think you'd last this long out here." I looked up. Becca was standing there with a Pepsi in her hand, looking casual, like she'd just stopped by to chat. I glared. "Why are you here?" "Curious," she smirked. "Wanted to see how long it'd take before you crawled back." My fists clenched. "Why are you doing this?" "You think you had it bad?" she asked, her voice steady. "Try being me. Every grade, every chore, every mistake compared to you. If I slipped up, it was always, 'Don't be like your brother.' That's all I ever heard." I frowned, but she went on. "Now, for once, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to prove anything. All I have to do is not mess up like you. And that's easy." "You're sick," I muttered. "What's really sick," she grinned, "is how easy it was. Everyone already thought you were the screw-up. I just gave them proof." I wanted to yell or shove her, but she leaned in, her voice low and calm. "And if you keep pushing this, if you keep talking about me, I'll make up something even worse. Then you won't just be homeless, you'll be locked up." She wasn't bluffing. She was already planning her next move. Then she walked away, as if she hadn't just threatened to finish what little was left of me. As I sat under that gas station sign, it finally clicked. She didn't just want me gone. She wanted to erase me entirely. That thought stayed with me for days. By the third week, I'd sunk further than I thought possible. My cash was gone. My phone was dead. I hadn't had a real meal in days. I carried my garbage bag everywhere. School, bus stops, parking lots. It was like a sign around my neck. Homeless. One night, I tried hiding again in the school library, deeper this time. But around midnight, a flashlight hit me in the face. "I already told you you can't sleep here," security said. "Try this one more time, and I'll report you. Then you'll be suspended." It started raining soon after. I walked for miles, my hoodie soaked, shoes squishing. My bag ripped open, and half my clothes spilled on the sidewalk. I scooped them up anyway. Everything smelled like mildew. I ended up under the awning of a closed laundromat. Hunger made me dizzy. That was my breaking point. I sat shivering, thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe I'll just disappear out here and nobody will notice." Then Lindsay appeared. She ran up with an umbrella, hair plastered to her forehead, out of breath. "Kyle, why didn't you answer your phone? I've been looking for you everywhere." "It's dead," I mumbled. The truth was, I hadn't had a charger in weeks. She crouched beside me, ignoring the puddles soaking her jeans. "You look awful." "Thanks." I tried to laugh, but my voice cracked. She pressed a crumpled envelope into my hands. "Here, take it." "What is it?" "Just open it." Inside was about $60 in small bills. My throat tightened. "Lindsay, I can't." "You can," she cut me off. "It's my allowance. I don't need it, you do." I couldn't even speak. I just nodded, clutching it like it was the most valuable thing in the world. "There's something else," she whispered. "Becca bragged at a party. I heard her. She told people she planted the money. She set you up." My head snapped toward her. "She admitted it?" "Yeah, but nobody believed her. They thought she was just showing off. Some even said, 'Even if it's true, you probably deserved it.' It felt like being kicked in the chest. Deserved it. That's what people thought of me." Lindsay's voice dropped. "She's too popular. Nobody wants to cross her. They all think you're already a lost cause." The silence between us said it all. It wasn't just my parents. Everyone had written me off. That night, as I sat in the laundromat doorway, soaked and starving, something inside me hardened. If nobody would stand up for me, I would do it myself. After cleaning up in a gas station bathroom, I picked up my damp bag and started walking. I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I was just done. When I reached our street, my chest tightened. The house looked the same, white siding, flower pots on the porch, but it wasn't mine anymore. I stood there for a long time, rain dripping off my hood, before walking up the driveway. I was going to make whether they liked it or not. I knocked 3 times, hard enough to sting my knuckles. Footsteps. The door creaked open. Becca stood there, eyebrows raised, sneering. "Well, look who crawled back." I pushed past her before she could stop me. My wet shoes squeaked on the hardwood. "I'm not here to stay. I'm here to talk." "Kyle!" My mother's voice echoed from the other room. She appeared a moment later, drying her hands with a dish towel. Dad followed, arms crossed, face already red. "Out. Now." "No," I said, chest heaving. "You're going to hear me this time. You've believed her lies long enough. Tonight, you're going to hear mine." Dad stepped closer. "Watch your tone. You don't get to barge into this house. You threw me out with a trash bag because Becca cried and waved some bills around. You didn't even ask for my side, not once, because we know you," Dad snapped. "You've always been reckless, always jealous." "Jealous?" I said, fire rising in my chest. "Let's talk about that. Remember when she copied my science project? Teacher called home and you punished me for making her cheat. She cried and you believed her. Always the same story. She's the angel, I'm the screw-up. Doesn't matter what really happened." Dad's jaw tightened. For a second, something flickered in his eyes. He knew I was right, but instead of admitting it, he doubled down. "You've done nothing but drag this house down. You want me to admit we favored her? Fine, we did. She keeps her grades up, helps your mother, stays out of trouble. You can't even keep a roof over your head." The words landed harder than any shove, but I stayed upright. "I can't keep a roof because you threw me out after she framed me, and you believed her without a second thought." Behind him, Becca leaned on the wall, sipping water like she was watching a show. "Go on," I said to her. "Swear right now you didn't plant that money. Look me in the eye and swear it." She tilted her head, lips twitching. "Sure, I swear," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "You hear that? I said to my parents. She can't even take this seriously. She's lying to your faces. Dad's face turned hot. He grabbed a glass from the table and hurled it at me. It shattered against the wall near my head. Shards cut my arm and cheek. He pointed at the door, voice low and shaking. Get out before I call the cops and say you broke in. I steadied myself, bleeding but refusing to cry. You've made your choice, I said quietly. You always pick her. One day you'll see her for what she is. When that happens, don't come looking for me. The room went silent except for Becca's soft chuckle. Wow, drama much, she muttered. I grabbed my bag and walked toward the door. At the threshold, I turned one last time. My parents were frozen. Becca smirked. You think I'm the problem? Fine. But when the truth blows up in your faces, remember this moment. I stepped outside and slammed the door. Cool air hit my face, mixing with the sting of the cuts on my arm. I walked quickly, as if distance alone would let me breathe. Halfway down the block, I heard footsteps. Wait up, bro. I spun around, heart pounding. Becca was jogging after me, calm, smiling, as if this were a game. My stomach flicked. What do you want now? She slowed, hands in her hoodie pockets. Relax. I just wanted to see how far you'd really take this. I glared. Farther than you think. I'm done letting you run the show. Her grin widened. You still don't get it, do you? Nobody's ever going to believe you. To them, you'll always be the screw-up, and I'll always be the one they're proud of. Proud? I shook my head. You destroyed me. Destroyed you? She echoed, tilting her head. Then her voice dropped, sharper. I didn't destroy you. I just gave them proof of what they already believed. Smartest thing I've ever done. My chest tightened. Say it again, I said, stepping closer. She leaned in, whispering as if savoring every word. I framed you. I planted the money. And I'd do it again, watching you beg while I win. That's the best part. Then another voice cut through the night. Excuse me. We froze. Mom stood at the edge of the porch, arms crossed, face pale. She must have followed without us noticing. Her eyes weren't angry at me this time. They were fixed on Becca. What did you just say? Mom asked, her tone stern. Becca stiffened, the smirk gone. Mom, it was nothing. He's twisting it. Don't lie to me, Mom said, stepping down the sidewalk. Her voice trembled, but her expression was firm. I heard you. You said you planted the money. For the first time in weeks, hope cracked through me. You heard her, Mom. You finally heard her. Becca's mouth opened and closed. No excuses came. She was rattled. The screen door banged open and Dad stepped onto the porch. What's going on? She admitted it, Mom said, voice shaking. Martin, she just admitted she framed Kyle. Dad blinked, color draining from his face. Is that true? Becca looked between the three of us, panic flickering. Her fingers clawed at her hoodie pocket. She opened her mouth to deny it, but instead the words spilled out like venom. So what if I did? I had to. You two always leaned on me to be the perfect one. I couldn't risk him ruining it. So I took care of it. I made sure he was the one you gave up on. Her voice cracked, but the damage was done. Mom staggered back, covering her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. Dad's hands curled, his eyes hard, as if looking at a stranger. You ruined your brother's life, Mom whispered. You threw me out, I said, my throat raw. You believed her over me. You tossed me in the street with nothing. And now you hear the truth, but it's too late. Becca crossed her arms, trying to mask the cracks in her voice. Don't act like a victim. You were always the mistake. I just made sure everyone else saw it. Her words hit me like more glass. I clenched my fists just to stay upright. The yard fell silent. Mom sobbed. Dad stood gutted. Becca's act had finally failed. I stepped forward, blood streaking down my arm. My voice was rough, but steady. You don't get to stand here and act shocked. You ruined me. You let the whole neighborhood think I was a thief because it was easier to believe her tears than your own son. You don't fix that with a few words. You're going to fix it the right way. Dad snapped his head toward me. Watch your tone. No, I said firmly. You don't tell me how to talk anymore. You lost that when you threw me out. If you want me to even think about coming back in that house, you're going to clear my name publicly. Publicly? Mom asked, blinking through tears. I nodded. You're going to post it on Facebook, the church page, the family group chat? I don't care. You're going to tell everyone the truth, that I never stole, that you spoiled Becca and let her lies destroy me. Otherwise, I'll do it myself, and I'll include everything, including how Dad threw a glass at me tonight. Dad's face turned red. We don't air family business online. I laughed bitterly. You already did when you threw me out with a trash bag. You let her story run wild at school, at church, with neighbors. You were fine letting everyone whisper about me. Now you're going to be fine undoing it. Mom's sobs grew. She turned to Dad. Martin, he's right. We did this. We let it happen. She waited, but he stayed silent. For the first time, his silence didn't protect her. It dragged her down too. Her hands shook as she took out her phone. If you won't say it, Martin, then I will. Dad glared, but she didn't stop. Her fingers hovered over the screen. Tell me what to write, she said to me. Becca's head snapped toward her. What? Mom, you can't. Quiet, Mom snapped, her voice sharp. You did this. You brought us here. I stepped closer, heart pounding, and dictated slowly. We need to apologize publicly. Our son Kyle was wrongly accused of stealing. The truth is, our daughter Becca framed him, and we believed her. We spoiled her, protected her, and let her lies destroy his reputation. We failed as parents. Kyle deserves to be seen for who he really is, not the scapegoat we made him. Mom typed every word with trembling hands. Dad stood rigid, but didn't stop her. She hit post. The words were out. The damage couldn't be undone. Within minutes, her phone buzzed with notifications. Comments poured in from relatives, church members, neighbors. We didn't know. I'm sorry, Kyle. It takes courage to admit this. Dad's face went pale as more comments appeared. His control was gone. Becca snapped. You just ruined my life. Everyone's going to hate me now. Dad turned to her, his jaw set.